Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm excited today for another episode of Meet the Creators. My name is Louis Joseph. I'm the founder and CEO of iBoss Entertainment. Usually co-hosting with the wonderful Amrita Casa, but she's not here with us today, so you'll be hanging out with me. So now, if you're tuning in for Meet the Creators for the first time, Meet the Creators is all about bringing you the behind the scenes and you getting to know these wonderful creators on iBossTV that are creating and telling such wonderful stories. So if you have not signed up for iBossTV yet, definitely click on the link, sign up, and start supporting independent creative work and these wonderful, wonderful stories. So now, if you want to check out everything else we're doing, iBoss Entertainment, you can go on our website, ibossentertainment.com, and sign up for our newsletter, stay connected, check out everything else we got going on. So definitely, follow us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, Discord, and, everywhere else. So definitely stay connected. Now, we have a wonderful, wonderful guest, and he's created this amazing movie that's playing on iBoss TV right now. The movie is named Father G, the movie, and definitely check it out. We're going to be talking about it, his name. We're going to introduce him right now. So, ladies and gentlemen, introducing you to the writer of the movie Father G, and also executively produced it, Mr. Roberto Rosas. So how you
Good to
doing,
see you.
Roberto?
Splendidly well for the same price.
Excellent, excellent.
Splendidly well, yes. Thanks be to
Yeah,
God.
definitely. And I'm excited for you to be here with us today. Thank you for being on the show and sharing your experience and everything. So, to get started here, we're going to be talking about your movie, obviously, a wonderful movie, Father G. And
Great.
just to give a snippet of what Father G is all about, we're going to play the trailer and we're going to get going.
All right.
Father Gabriel. He's a pastor at St. Gerard's Catholic Church. He is a pretty cool guy. He cured me from a malignant tumor about 3 months ago. He's a man of God. They know him as the Miracle Weaver.
We have two choices in this life.
If I can make him renounce his vow to serve you as a priest, may I have him?
We will be cut down, thrown into the eternal fire.
Oh, I'm just so glad that you got out of Africa alive.
I decided to enter a religious life after I was convinced that you'd forgotten about me.
You just simply disappeared from my life one day.
I hear that you perform miracles.
I saw you glowing when you were praying.
You mean you revived a lady after she died electrocuted?
Wow. Very, very, very powerful movie. So now, Roberto, take us through your journey in one, becoming a screenwriter, and also your inspiration that ultimately led you to writing this movie and producing this movie.
Okay. Well, it's a long story. We have to go back to the last millennium because we started actually back in the 1990s. I have been a policeman here in San Antonio since 1988. I was a patrolman for 5 years. I was a detective for 7 years, and I was a sergeant for 10 years before I retired in 2010. In the period when I was a detective, I had seen a bad movie, one of those movies. I'm sure that you have seen a few of those bad movies that you just wasted 2 hours of your life watching, and you say, why do they even make this crap? I'm sure that if I sat down, I could write something better than what I just saw. And I challenged myself. I said, I'm going to do it. I'm going to sit down and write a story that will be much better than what I have seen. And I said, what can I write about? You have all kinds of people with guns like myself solving problems by shooting people or arresting people or blowing things up. There are other things in life, better ways of approaching real life and make it interesting. It says most of Hollywood does not recognize the presence of God in our lives. They can recognize false gods, the gods of the Greeks or the gods of the church or any other gods that are false, created by men. But the real God, which is the basis of our existence, they do not acknowledge. So I said, I'm going to create a story where it feels real because it speaks about reality. I said, I'm going to make a character that will be good, that will be attractive. How can I make some mystic, some men of God attractive? Through the history of the church, we have had men who walk on water besides Christ, after Christ, because Christ said in the Gospel of John, the things that I do and greater things than this will you be able to do because I'm going to the Father. And whatever you ask in my name, I will do so that the Father may be glorified. And the Son, that's mentioned at the beginning of the movie. That's the premise with which I create the character. A character who can be Christ-like. He can walk on water. He can heal the sick. He can expel demons. He can do all kinds of marvelous things. And he says, it is not I, it is God himself working through me. I'm just an instrument. I'm just the violin. And the player is God himself. And so, but as I said, if you just make a religious character, people are going to be turned off and say, religious character. I'm not interested in hearing about a priest, a Catholic priest. I know that. And I said, well, how about if we make it a boxer? So that he stays in shape. Some priests go and play golf, some play basketball. This guy used to box when he was young, and he kept boxing just to work out. It's a good exercise to do away with stress. You don't need to be competing for the heavyweight title of the world like Rocky. You can just go and do your workout, run, swim, lift weights, punch the bag, and that keeps you in shape. He likes to sing. He's a good singer. He likes to dance. He's a man of the world. He likes to eat. He enjoys good food. He likes to have a drink. He never gets drunk, but he likes to drink a beer, a glass of wine with your food, nothing wrong. He likes to smoke cigars. He is conservative politically, so that puts him at odds with his mostly Hispanic flock, because most of them are Democrat liberals, and he is a conservative, and that puts him at odds. So he's liked and likable, but not perfect in the eyes of everybody. Who is? Not even Jesus was liked by everybody. So I said, okay, I have a character now, a superhero. This is a Superman that is possible, because everything is possible with God. Now, who could be his nemesis? Create a character that is against this guy. Who could be against him that would be worthy to be his adversary? Well, Satan is the real enemy of man in general, particularly a good man, a Christian man, a holy man. That would be Satan, because Satan is as real as God, not as great, but he does interfere with human affairs. And we see his kingdom being spread in front of us today's day. I said, okay, I'm going to create a real character and then introduce this character in the story as Satan. And Satan has a conversation with God. He says, why do you grant Gabriel, Father Gabriel, everything that he asks of you? And God responds, because he is faithful. Unlike Satan, who was unfaithful, being the greatest angel, he is a fallen angel because he was unfaithful to God. And so he says, he's faithful because you spoil him. You're always giving him whatever he wants, like a spoiled child. Let me try him, and you will see that he's just a human being, unfaithful like everybody else. So they deal, and God allows him. God allows him 6 months to test the faithfulness of this priest. What the devil does is he brings back into the priest's life the love of his youth, the one that used to be his girlfriend. They were in love. They were planning to get married once they got out of school and everything. And one day she disappeared from his life because she was a white girl, the daughter of a commanding general for Sam Houston. this is a Mexican guy from the wrong side of the tracks. The parents don't want their only daughter to go steady with this poor guy from the wrong side of the track. So they just took her to Germany back in the back century in the 80s, So they never heard from each other.
Yeah.
You figure she's gone. What can I do? And God is calling me, and I'm gonna be a priest. So he responds to the call, and he becomes a priest. She went to Europe, never heard from him because she sent letters, but the letters never got sent. They never made it to the post office. So she figured he forgot about me, my boyfriend in San Antonio. So she becomes a religious sister over there. Now, move forward 20 years. Now they meet again as a religious sister and as a priest. Both of them are single, yet both of them are committed to a celibate life for the glory and honor of God. But they are perfect for one another. They have to work with one another. And they say, we cannot tell everybody else that she used to be my girlfriend, We have to keep it secret.
And you introduced that very, very well in the movie, where and there's a lot there.
Oh yeah, there's a lot. You have racial tension,
it's a really good movie, and what I like about what you did is you made him very real. It wasn't. There's a mystical aspect to the movie, but it's not sci-fi or anything like that. At the same time, you made it relatable to everyone, where the desires that affect the human condition is presented, and everyone can relate to that conflict that he has, which is committing to something that he is, steadfast on, and then something else that you introduce in his life that really tempts him. And as a human race, we're tempted by a lot of
it is good
and things of that nature. Yes, and you put it in that sense where it wasn't Satan that was going around doing things. You weren't showing him doing anything. You were showing how these conflicts were being presented in his life, or to anybody's life. When you're committed to something, now something's gonna challenge that commitment in the situation. So you did a really good job at that. And I have a clip where you talk about Satan, where Satan actually is sort of plotting around that, and or the circumstances that's going to happen is going to plot against you, and you did that. So let's show this clip right now.
Let's see.
We'll let you test Gabriel. You will see that he, a mere man, is faithful.
How much time will you give me to test your boy?
3 months.
That's not enough time. You've been working with him for years now. Give me a whole year.
Not a year. We'll give you 6 months.
Okay then. If I can prove to you in that time frame that he is just another unfaithful mortal man, if I can make him renounce his vow to serve you as a priest, then I have it.
If Gabriel abandons his ministry for your temptation, he is yours. But you're granted only 6 months, from now until the last day of February. Now leave at once.
Wow. And I like the fact that you made him just another human being that's sort of in the background of the lives of the main character, that's really sort of watching all these temptations develop and see if he actually falls for those temptations. And that so it was very real. It's like the senses people have about maybe their surrounding or the people they're around, bad things happening, and you portrayed it more in a realistic way, where it's not really sci-fi where he's doing some magical stuff. It's more like it's present in the life of the characters.
Yes, and I'm glad that you mentioned that is relatable, because it could be the case of a married man that is tempted to go back to the love of his youth, but he's already committed to this marriage. You see, it does not necessarily have to be a celibate priest. There's some advantages to that, because it's a story that is a little more unique that way. But it represents every human being, because what happens when we turn back on our promise to be faithful to God? We belong to Satan. We fall in his trap. If we fall for his deceit, for his deception, we are his, and we have walked away from light into darkness. So you're so right when you say that it is relatable, because what happens to Father Gabriel in the movie can happen to you and to me.
Absolutely. And one of the other aspects you had was you started to show how those temptations started to take effect.
Mm-hmm.
And in terms of jealousy started to occur. You start to see more separation from the commitment just a little bit, but fighting to not completely break it. And so we can show a little clip of that too. Let's do that.
You're gonna give up the end of the film.
Oh no.
Give it up.
We gotta make sure we don't show everything. We don't know whether he fell
Let
for
the audience be thirsty for more.
Absolutely. This clip is actually really funny.
Let's take a look at it.
Thank God you came back. Yeah.
Father Gabriel?
Hey,
what
guys.
What are you doing?
Helping damsel in distress.
I see that. Did you have to go and kiss her? It's all over your face.
Can you guys go on to the restaurant and order for all of us? I'll explain everything to when I get there.
Come on, let's go. Go, come on.
Need to apologize.
This man's going to be the next Elvis. He's going to quit his job as a priest, and he's going to Hollywood. I'm going to marry him and give him 6 children.
Until you actually renounce your vows, Father Gabriel, I suggest that you clean up your act for the children and wipe that lipstick off of your face.
Definitely really funny. So you start to see these little the temptations start to take effect, and you start to wonder, wow, okay, is him as a man is going to come to the man that those desires, and that's where that relatability comes from, because you start to see, anyone can start to have anything come in their life and start to affect their commitment, even though you're talking about someone that committed as a priest.
Yes, I'm glad you chose this to see that it is a serious film, but at the same time, life is not all serious. You can have fun. You and I are having this conversation, laughing about it, and we can find the humor in the subtle details of a story. Like this little spat of jealousy because one woman is in love with him and another one is coming to offer herself to this man. So there's a rivalry now. It is not straight and simple. You love me, I love you, and that's it. But there's some interloper that is coming into the scene, and of course that presents the opportunity for some tension between the characters, and some funny little moments, which when people are paying attention, they can enjoy. It is not just a story to tell you this is very serious. Your soul is at stake, and you should be afraid of Satan or something like that. No, the idea is this is life, and you are playing it. Beware of this. Be aware that miracles do happen. Be aware that love is so great, but the love of God is greater than anything else. Okay, where is your commitment? Yeah, that's a very important message. But at the same time, we sing and dance and drink and do all kinds of things because we're living life as the Lord provides it.
Yeah, and definitely showing flaws as a man, and also him being a man, that can fall for anything if he's not, truly steadfast to his commitment. Also, he had other kind of hobbies, like he loved art. So what was your inspiration in incorporating that as one of his?
You're able to see what I have behind me on this side. It's a painting. This is an oil painting, 8 feet by 8 feet.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit, yeah. You can see it. If I move the camera a little bit, you can see the painting that goes all the way up and all the way down. is a colorful painting, and I made it. I am a painter. I'm an artist by training. I went to UTSA and got myself a degree in fine arts with a concentration on drawing. So since this is my brainchild, he's a lot like I am. He has a lot of me in this child that came out of my brain. Father Gable is a lot like me. And I used to go to those classes in which we had nude models posing for us, and we would just do our drawing or painting or whatever piece of art. Some people may do even sketching or maybe sculpture, but we have access to both men and women showing themselves in the nude. And that's part of the formation of an artist. And also is part of the practice of art. Even though you already left school, it's always good to have a living model to put under a certain light and work, be inspired by it, and look at what is it that really you can capture from the image and likeness of God that is the human body. The human body is part divine, even though it's flesh. It is the masterpiece of the Creator. So there's a lot to be respected there. Of course, there's also a temptation for some lust. And so there's the tension that the artist must defeat in order for the art to come through. But it is present. We cannot deny that. But that's why Father Gable has that as a hobby. He's painting, and the opportunity presents itself that they may have a living nude model. Now, in the story, it happens to be the girl that he revived, which intentionally went there to show the goods to Father Gable, say, hey, this is what's available to you. So it's a double-edged sword there.
Yeah, definitely. But again, that was you also demonstrating how Satan is introducing these temptations in a natural way or natural occurrence of your life. And he starts to face these things and doesn't really exactly know what's going on and and how to deal with it.
Let me tell you, Louis, everything that you see in this movie has happened, can happen, will happen. I'm not making anything new. I'm just mixing up the same salad with ingredients that we are familiar with, but maybe fixed in a different way than other people would do it. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah. And another aspect you brought up was the value of life. And you really wanted to put that in perspective. And we have a good clip about that. So
nice. I was hoping that you would.
Well, awesome. Let's do it.
Oh, Father, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome, Alice.
Father, I'm going to write you a check for $500.
No, Alice. That's not necessary. It was my pleasure to be of service to you tonight. No! You know, it's amazing to me how we value a thing like that ring at $50,000. Creation of man, no life in it, luxury item, status symbol. And yet, a firefly, living work of God, a creature that can fly, give out light, can eat, breathe, digest food, and even reproduce itself. Something like that, we assign no value at all.
Yeah. And, you really encapsulated this, perspective really well there. It's like we value all these things, materialistic things, but yet, and you're willing to give $50,000 for it. We don't value some of the important things in life and give them no values at all.
Of course. And we're talking about a firefly here, but actually we're talking about human life. We say life, but we mean human life. Look, I'm speaking about how you just kill a little insect, but we dispose of human life just like that, not assigning any value to it. And because of that, we're losing ourselves. So there's a price to be paid, and we are the ones, we're killing ourselves as a generation, as a people, if we don't respect the life in the womb. And so I use this scene for that purpose. It's a pro-life statement. It's a little subtle, and hopefully it's so evident that people can read it. You capture it perfectly well. You know, the message is there. You know, God is pro-life.
Absolutely. So, now, as far as making the movie itself, what was some of your greatest challenges in really putting this feature together?
Oh, money is a great challenge, but the Lord provided. I had to raise over $350,000 with my friends and family. I sold shares, promising to my friends and family that I would be able to at least double their money, because we had a good project. It was a solid story, and I had hired a guy to be the director and producer who came from Hollywood and had the experience. And so we put together a good team of actors and technicians. I figure we can do this in a quality to a level in which it can be competitive. What I was not counting on is the total adversity that Hollywood has for this type of movie. Not only are they not making them, they hate them. So you have to go with the route that you're going. You have to become an independent producer and distributor in order to serve the public that is hungry for these kind of stories, you know, with that what they want, but on your own, not counting on the establishment. Because if you do that, you're at loss. And that's what happened. We ended up not being promoted, even though we have a good story. It's a good production. The quality of it, you have already noticed that it is of good quality. Not only the story, but the acting and the way in which it flows. Now, besides the money, you have, of course, other obstacles to overcome, you know, that are usually involved with, I assume, with the productions of movies. You have to deal with permits. You have to deal with people who may not agree with you. You have to deal with struggling with the actors that may not present themselves, and so you have to improvise. You know, one of the actors that was supposed to play a part didn't show up, and we're ready to roll. Everybody is there, and the actor that is supposed to act the thief is not there. So my sister, who was the assistant director, she grabs someone, a young man, and proposes to him to do this, and he agrees. So he saves her, but it's not a role that has any lines, and yet it's so important that without him we couldn't do it. So little obstacles like that. It was freezing a couple of times when we were there, and that was not part of the environment. We were not supposed to be in a freezing season when this happens. It's supposed to happen in the fall, and here in South Texas, it doesn't freeze at that time. But actually, the production was in the winter. We were in January, and it was below freezing when we were doing it. So we had to respond to those challenges, but God always provided. The major challenge afterwards, after the production of the movie, was the distribution, because that's you can have the best product that you can. If it doesn't get distributed, you're dead in the water. And that's the major problem that we face, and where we have to stop, and where I failed to provide my investors with double their money, as I said, because we're still trying to put it out there, because I know that not everybody likes this type of movie, because most people like whatever, other tastes. But at least I would say 20% of the population that watches movies is hungry for this kind of movie that is intellectual, that is spiritual, that is funny, that is well put, and that has a solid message for everybody that is open-minded.
So if you were to go back and sort of look at, okay, this is how the project evolved and how we produced it and all the process was, you know, in between, is there, so I'm guessing you would think about look into distribution before you even get going, or get settle these avenues, so that way it's clear. I'm imagining that's probably something you've looked back into and say, okay, we'll probably do that differently.
Yes, that would be one major error to address if I were to start a different production. However, one of the factors that contributed to this situation is the man that I hired as director and producer was supposed to have the contacts in Hollywood to do this, but he betrayed me. In the process of making the production, he decided that he owned the movie. He said, wait a minute, I hire you. How can this be your movie? I wrote it, I financed it, I created it, I brought you in. If I don't like what you're doing, I can fire you and get somebody else to do your work. but if you don't like what I'm doing, you fire me, you have nothing. No, he still claimed that the movie was his because he's the director and producer. And he mismanaged the money that I had given him. I gave him free reign. I said, I don't want to be like the owner of the Dallas Cowboys team and start interfering with the coach in the field. You know, I'm trusting you to produce it and direct it right and distribute it. So he failed me in that sense. And I, a policeman, I'm supposed to be distributing a movie. What do I know about movie distribution? This guy came from Hollywood with 20, 30 years of experience in Hollywood, and he betrays me, shortchanges me, and leaves me out in the street, basically. So I even took him to a legal process in order to get the movie out of his hands. He finally gave it up, but we ended up with damaged goods. Our relationship was damaged, and because of that, the distribution did not happen. And because of that, I couldn't pay back my investors as I wanted to. I still have hopes that maybe someone like you can help us to get the project off the ground, because everybody that has watched it, or I would say 80%, I'm not gonna say everybody, but 80% of the people who have watched it, they have enjoyed it, and they say, man, this is a good movie. We enjoyed it, we like it, and we think it has something different than what we usually see.
Yeah, and it's really a good movie. I mean, you don't have to be, yes, it's spiritual, it's faith based, and but it has a great story, so anyone can watch it. It's relatable. So definitely go and support, Father G on iBoss TV. Go watch it. Sign up and support independent creative work. You're hearing it right here, where when it comes to independent work, there's a lot of hoops that you going through to get things out there. But also you have a lot of flexibility because you're doing it your way, I guess, and really trying to tell the story that you want to tell without someone saying, hey, you can't say it this way, you can't write it that way, you can't produce it this way, you can't film it this way, and all that good stuff. So definitely commend you for pushing through your vision and getting it done in the way you saw it. So that's very cool. Now, another part of the movie that really wanted to bring up, and we didn't go over, was this idea of how you this climax of temptation by bringing up the Garden of Eden, and that was the ultimate. Not ultimate, but it really brought everything together, and you did that very, very well. And it wasn't, like I said, everyone, it's not, so science fiction or anything like that. It was more the metaphor of that, and how the temptations of life was really close, or
yes,
actually succeeded. I can't tell you what happened, y'all. I can't tell you what happened, but definitely you presented that in a very real way. So they met up with some friends, and well, I'll play the clip.
Okay, let's take a look at it.
Sense of what we're talking about here.
Two very best friends in the world, and me, the artiste. Cheers.
This is great. Thank you, God, for giving us life in abundance, that we can enjoy all good things, most especially the love of our friends.
Amen.
Oh, listen, you two, please lighten up on the religious stuff and simply limit yourself to being Gabe and Terry, my two best friends in the world. And let me welcome you to the Garden of Eden, where all your dreams come true.
You made the point, you have some beauty. The man is now surrounded. He has a black beauty, a white beauty, and he is given wine to drink, and he is removed from his office by removing his Roman color, and he is going to eat, and he's going to listen to good music and dance, and he's going to enjoy a show of painting, which he likes. Pleasure after pleasure after pleasure, all these good pleasures that life has to weaken you, so that you become a little more inclined to say, I really like this. I think I'm going to go for it.
Yeah. And we're not going to have any spoilers here, but definitely, that was the time where he had to make a decision.
Yes.
You're committed or you're not committed.
Yes, sir.
And with anything in life you're committed to,
Mhm.
there's gonna be a breaking point where you got to choose a direction, and you got to go watch the movie to figure out which direction you went to.
Mhm.
Go watch it on iBoss TV, Father G. So, what's next? What else you got going on? Is there more for Father G? Is it going to be a series? Are there going to be more stories in that kind of genre,
Mhm.
or what are you working on?
Yes.
What's next?
Father G became a saga because I wrote that story and I like it. I got so much good feedback from the readers of the book when it was not a movie yet. The people who read the book, the hundreds of people that I knew who had an opportunity to read the book after I published it, they told me that they like it for this reason or that reason. They like the jokes, they like the activity, they like the character, they like whatever. And I said, maybe I have something here. So I kept writing what happens after we have finished with this story, particularly the way in which the movie ends. It lends itself for a continuation, what happens afterwards. And so I wrote the continuation and I said, but how did we get here? Where did he start? So I wrote the beginning. Before you know it, I have 10 books of Father G, which cover about 20 years of his life. I intended it as a mini series. Huh?
Sorry, before you continue, where can people find your book?
The books are all available at Amazon.com. So if you watch the movie and you say, I like this, go and see the rest of the story by reading the book. And it's called The Temptation of the Miracle Weaver. Father G is a miracle weaver, but people have trouble remembering it as a title of a movie, Temptation of the Miracle Weaver. That's too much for people to remember, too many words. Temptation of the Miracle Weaver. That sounds like a long, complicated thing. So I said, how about Father G? Okay, Father G. But it is based on The Temptation of the Miracle Weaver. Now I have about 10 other books besides Father G. When I had this relationship with the star of the movie, which is San Antonio tenor Timothy Bird, I said, I'm gonna write you a script where you're gonna shine as a tenor. I'm gonna give you an opportunity to shine as a tenor doing your thing in the movie. And I wrote a story called Tenor, which is also in a novel format right now. But I wrote the script. It's available. If one day I had somebody else to produce it, because I'm not going to producing movies myself. I want to find some producer, director, distributor that is interested in wholesome movies to check out the products that I have. And that will be a good partnership that I'm looking forward to. Because as I said, I had to force myself to do a film because I was abandoned in the middle of the street by the one that had the experience that I had associated with. And I had to separate from him. And so that's how I ended up being the manager of the whole project. But I have several other stories on Father G and others that go along the same lines, but they are totally different stories. Right now, I'm writing a story that is being told by an old detective that already retired and is remembering a particular story of his life, of a young romance, where this girl was killed 20 years ago and she came back to life in a new girl and meets again with all over that she had. It's a reincarnation story. Is that possible? Or is that fictitious? Do we find it anywhere else? Have we ever heard of it? Is anything impossible for God if you are good and trust him? That's the idea. I'm working on that.
Oh, and you looking to turn that into a movie as well, or you just
yeah. Once I had the book, I finished the novel, and then I just reduce it to action and dialogue so that I can make it a script, basically. But it's the same story. It is a painful process when you have a novel and you have to bring it into a screenplay format, because you have to chop off one arm and the other arm and the legs. So you end up with just the head and the thorax, just the center of the story, because you only have 2 hours to tell a 14-hour story.
Right. And have you considered making it a series, maybe, so that way you can develop it more? And
yes. No, I did it that way. I did it that way. When I started, I made it into 14 chapters because each one of the chapters was supposed to be a 1-hour show. So it would be a 14-hour mini series. Just the book, the first book. Right now I have 150 chapters. So I have enough for several seasons.
You have like 10 seasons in there.
Yes.
Awesome. So that's excellent to hear all the good work you're doing. The exciting projects that you have going on. So what's the timeline on that? Is it in the next year, in the next 2 years? What's your projected timeline? And
For new projects to come on?
For this particular project you were just talking about, which is detective.
The detective story, the title is Beatus. Beatus means blessed. It is a name, it's a proper name, and there's a patron saint. But the name encapsulates a message. Beatus. We are all Beatus. We are all blessed. But what do we do with our blessings? So I am right now translating into Spanish. It will be published within the next month. In April, it will be published. But the other ones, if you just run my name, if you just Google my name, Roberto G. Rosas, in Google, you find all the titles that I have written. And all of them are satisfaction guarantee your money back.
You heard that here, y'all. Excellent, excellent. So where can people find you, follow you? Are you mostly on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook? What's the best place? I know we have
Right now, I'm on Twitter and LinkedIn. I have moved away from the general media. Like Facebook, I used to have an account, and I didn't like the direction in which Facebook is going. And Twitter, I just got in because it was changed. A change of management. That's how I went back. I'm on Truth and I'm on Gap too, but those are lesser media, social media services. So not many people are there. But if you just run my name, you'll find me. I'm easy to find.
Excellent, excellent. Well, this was very informative. Learned a lot about yourself and the movie and all the different behind the scenes. So thank you so much for sharing a lot with us. And is there any last words you want to provide to filmmakers? Any inspiration? Any sort of tips? What would you want to share?
I don't, being a newcomer into the scene, there's so little that I can say about the business itself, but I know that the opportunity is there. I believe in storytelling. There's a great power in storytelling because you can change lives with it. That's the way in which Jesus preached, by telling a story. There was a man who had two sons, and the youngest one of them came to him and asked him for money and went away. And people are riveted to those words, and there's a message in those words that can change people's lives, people's outlook. You can change people's lives by telling them a good, constructive story. So if that's in your heart, go for it. If you're seeking fame, fortune, you can find it somewhere else. But take advantage of the power of the media to reach into people's hearts and brains and give them something that is good for their soul. That would be my message.
Excellent message. Excellent. Y'all hear that? Tell your story, impact lives through your story. And of course, utilize all the different tools and social media platforms and media platforms in general out there to get your story out there and impact lives, like you said. So, Roberto, see, I'm rolling my R there. Yeah,
Very good.
I was practicing. Thank you so much for being here with us today. It's a pleasure, and we hope to have you here again, especially with your next movie as well. So we're very excited about that, and we're definitely looking forward to another session with you. Thank you so much.
Very well. Louis, it has been a pleasure. God bless. Take care.
You too. That was excellent, y'all, and I hope you all got a lot out of this episode. And definitely go watch Father G on iBossTV.com. All right, sign up and support independent filmmakers and creators, and support Father G. And you're definitely going to like the movie. It's funny. It has some mystical aspects to it as well. A little bit of thriller, some comedy, romance, drama. So it has a good mix of all these things. So definitely check it out. That'll be it for Meet the Creators. Check us out on social media. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook. Sign up for our newsletter. Go to iBossEntertainment.com. and check us, check everything else we got going on. So without further ado, until next time, see ya and have a great day.